Okay, so let me get this set up and get a little bit of zoom going. There we go. And I will get the computer going on the other side just to be sure I'm actually transmitilating. YouTube keeps making updates. I wish they would update that one where you could actually see your video once you send it live on your phone, but they don't, so there you have it. And there it is. Okay. All right, so here's our card for today. It is another fun fold. Hey, Rosie, thank you for coming. I appreciate it. It is another fun fold, and I realized as I was naming it, it's probably it's still a hidden flat fun fold kind of a thing, a hidden thing, because it has an inside sentiment that you can't see when it is closed. This uses predominantly the Joyful Days Memories and More card pack for all of the DSP. You see, they're not DSP, they're really cards, but it's decorated, it's designer paper, so I'm calling it DSP. And then I have also used the Delicate Pines bundle, which is coming new as an online exclusive. It's going to be right around the corner, like next week. All right, so the 3rd of September, you'll be able to pick up this bundle in the online exclusives. That is, of course, also the same day the mini catalog goes live. So there's going to be so many fun things to play with on the 3rd of September. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you. All right, so Delicate Pines, I've used it before, and you know why I love it. It's got pines in the name. It's got great images. But let's look a little bit at the Joyful Days. Now, when I started with Stampin' Up, actually a few years after when they started using Memories and More card packs, my brain said scrapbooking. But I have since come to learn that there is a lot of utility for these cards in card making, okay? Like particularly these. These are beautiful pieces of cardstock. They're thick like cardstock, but I'm using them as DSP. So all sorts of different things. You just cut them down to be cards. And then you have these little guys, which I already cut that one and then decided not to use them. They are much smaller. These are like 3 inches by 4 inches, and they work really well together or with just a mat on a card front. So really a lot of utility in these card packs. Okay, so I'm going to show you what I did with it today. Oh, and of course, I mean, not of course, because there's lots of other things to use, but I did use the Birchwood 3D embossing folder, and I've used some pecan pie two-tone cardstock on this. Okay, so let's get started. Everything is on my blog, so you will be able to just watch the presentation. You don't even need to take notes or nothing. Hey, Amy. Hi, Jane. I know. I know. It is practically time to put your Halloween costume on, stuff the turkey, put the tree up, and say Happy New Year. I mean, my goodness, it's insane. It really is. All right, so our card base is super simple. You couldn't get much easier for a fun fold than this. This is Cherry Cobbler. It is a piece that is 4 1/4 by 8 1/4, and I am going to score it at 5 1/2. Okay, and that's kind of backwards, but when you turn it like this, then you get the fun fold. And boom, fun fold is folded. That's it right there. Let me go ahead and give this a little rub-a-dub. And then it is time to start decorating. So you are going to do a little bit of selective trimming on these two. I've used these two for my card to get everything decorated. But let's go ahead and do a little bit of matting of the first piece. So this is a piece of the two-tone pecan pie cardstock. It is 2 3/8 by 3 7/8. And I am going to mat it on Mossy Meadow for this front panel. But before I do that, it's already been embossed in the Birchwood 3D embossing folder. So I'm just going to take a little sanding block and give that a little sanded dub-dub. That didn't work out, but you know what I mean. A little sandy rub. I may need another new piece of sandpaper. Yep. Okay, and you can do as much or as little as you want. The more you do, obviously, the more white shines through. But I think that really pulls out that Birchwood embossing, don't you? And I will use some of the liquid glue. Obviously, if you're a Stampin' Seal person, you can use that instead. But I am a glue girl. A glue girl. I should make a t-shirt. Team Liquid Glue. What do you think? All right, so I've got that adhered to my Mossy Meadow mat. And then this will go on the front of our card base. Okay, here we go. On this front panel, just like that. Kind of make sure it's straight. All right, now I'm gonna get my trimmer back out. Yeah, I always forget about using sandpaper too, and then I remember, but with the two-tone cardstock, it's particularly effective, okay? Because it really works nice once you've embossed it to get a little bit of extra texture going there. Okay, now let's go ahead and do our trimming. We're gonna trim two ways. This first one is the piece that I have used on the front. And for it, what I'm doing is I'm trimming down to 3 3/8 by 4 3/8, but I'm trimming so that I have the portion of this scene that I like. And I happen to like this part right here. Okay, so it's a pretty straightforward trim. I'm going to go 4 3/8, like so. And you get 6 or 8 of these in each pack, so it's really convenient, I think. And then we'll go 3 3/8. Be careful, because if you go 3 3/8 this way, you're going to get a weird design. So you do have to take just a minute to be sure that you are going the correct direction. And before I cut that, speaking of, let me just double check that 3 3/8 is what I want. It is, in fact, what I want. Okay. So we'll cut here. And I just kind of kept that. You just never know when that might be good on the side of an inside liner, right? When you don't have a stamp you want to put in there. All right, now let's go ahead and set that aside. And then I'm going to cut this little guy down. Now, this is a full-size card, one of the large ones. A team seal shirt. Okay, sure, I'll get right on that. But I'm only buying one, so everybody who wants a liquid glue one can buy one, but only you can buy the Stampin' Seal one. That's how it's going to work. So these guys are 4 inches by 6, and what I want it to be is, I want it to be down to 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. Okay, so this is where, you remember when you told your mom when you were like in the 4th grade, you were never going to need math again? Well, now it's time for the maths, okay? So to get down to 5 1/8 from 6 inches, we are going to, we're going to take off 3/4, about 7/8 of an inch, okay? And that's kind of not an even number. So what I did is I took 3/8 and a little bit off of both sides so that I get 5 1/8, okay? If it's a little bit uneven, that's fine. So what you do is you start with it at 6, and then you just take 3/8 off. There's 3/8 off, like that. And then I turn it 180 degrees. I know, it seems a little bit kind of ridiculous to do it like that, but that's what I did, okay? So there was 3/8 off that way, and there's another 1, 2, 3/8 there, and I'll just cheat it just a little bit on that side. And then I'll turn it around and finish up at 5 1/8. With what little tiny bit is left. Okay, so that's the 5 1/8 direction. Now this way is 4, right? It's 4, and all I want is 3 7/8. So I'm just going to take like a 1/16 off of each side. So I'll take a 1/16 off on this top side, and a 1/16 off here to be 3 7/8. Okay, and that is how you use math. Not fuzzy math. Well, it's a little fuzzy because of those 16ths. That's how you use math to keep something centered as you make something smaller. Okay, did that make sense? All right, here we go. So let's go ahead. We can just adhere that right now to our mat for the inside back. Okay. Here's where the rubber meets the road. Did Mary's math work? Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Okay. And then we'll adhere this to the back of the card base, the inside. Like so. Alrighty, there we go. And that is really, I mean, I'm going to put an embellishment on there and we can go ahead and do that. These traditional sparkling sequins are so beautiful. I love them. These are real red and I'm using cherry cobbler, but real red and cherry cobbler go together like peanut butter and jelly. They really do. It's okay. It's okay. For a long time, I was very skeptical. I was like, no, that's like wearing stripes and polka dots together. Almost as bad as white after Labor Day, but no, it isn't. It's okay. Mix your real red and your cherry cobbler. So here we go. We're on the way. We'll go ahead and adhere this to its mat. Double checking. Rubber meets the road. Okay, good. There you go, Beth. You are able to quote me absolutely. Numbers don't lie unless it's differential equations, and I still believe that there were times when the instructor was telling me a little bit of a fibby fib. Also, I was never good. Did you guys do, is it statistics where you have the numbers that never get to zero? It just keeps getting less and less and less. Is that, I don't know if that's statistics or if that was differential equations, but whatever it is, my brain could not get around that to save my life. I was just like, no, you have to get to zero eventually because otherwise what's the point? I mean, I'm the kind of person who goes, oh, you need a 6 foot 2x4? Okay, let's cut the 6 foot 2x4. If somebody said, well, keep cutting it down until it's not quite 5 and 7, 15 16ths, but almost 5 and, what? That makes no sense to me. Okay, so here's how this is going to work. And you can see that when it is centered on the card base, it is covering our sentiment, and that's what you want. Okay, so let's go ahead and decorate. Oh, I did not make a label. Hang on a minute. Let me get a piece of scrap. A piece of scrap cardstock, because I need a label. I think that's too narrow. Let me see what my label is. I think that's a 1/2 inch. Okay, hang on a second. I'll get it. I'm one of those people who keeps stray pieces of basic white cardstock because you just never know when you might need a sentiment that is a 1/2 inch wide. And so I can take this little scrap and cut it down to a 1/2 inch and not waste a piece of cardstock. Yep, I know. It's a little weird, but that's what I do. So, don't judge. Don't judge. I felt like singing the Evita song. Don't cry for me, Argentina. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and stamp our sentiment that says celebrate the season. We'll do that in cherry cobbler. Sometimes I'm a hoot. Sometimes I'm just a goof bucket. I know. Okay. So what I'm doing here is I am hoping that's the right length. Yes, it is. It turned out to be good. This is a 1/2 inch wide, and I don't care how long because I'm just going to stamp this towards the left end, and then if I don't like how long it is, I'll just trim it off. So you want it to be longer than you need. But I'm always off or just not getting. I know, Rosemary, I do the same thing. I will score something and then be like, well, why didn't that work? So you see I'm not measuring. Do you see that? Please watch. I'm just cutting, okay? So when you see the directions, it's going to say 1/2 inch wide, cut to fit. All right, so make it as long as your sentiment. How's that? Okay, now I've done a little bit of die cutting from the Delicate Pines die set. I do love this set. I do. I really, really do. So the first thing we have here is these are from two-tone pecan pie cardstock. And I cut the detailed die on the dark side of the two-tone cardstock. And then I cut the solid die on the light side. So you just have to turn the cardstock over in your cutter and you will get those two colors like that, and we're going to adhere them together. Then I used all 3 of these little guys to cut out 3 old olive boughs. And finally, I used this die to cut 1 gold snowflake. All right, and that's all we need. And then we'll just decorate and decorate. Okay, so we're going to go back to our liquid glue. Oh, hey, Judy, thank you. I'm so glad you're here, and I hope it will have ended up to be worth it. All right, so I like to use liquid glue for these. You could use adhesive sheets if you like, but to be quite honest, for me, for these, that's a lot more work than it's worth. Okay, so I just very lightly run the tip of my liquid glue I mean, I'm barely squeezing. Like, I'm thinking about squeezing is how much glue is coming out. But when you have such a little piece and so many little spaces to do, it works out perfectly. It squishes just enough. Now, if you get carried away and you got a big glop, you're not going to be happy with it. And you're going to be like, Mary, I hate you. I cannot believe you use liquid glue like that. That is crazy, girl. Get you some adhesive sheets. And I'll be like, yeah, I know. I know. But I don't, so there you go. I'm one of those ones who, if I can make it a little harder, I'm going to do that. But no, I do prefer liquid glue for this little application right there. Okay, now, for my little pine bough snowflake, first I'm going to adhere these three little guys together. And I'm going to do them like that. And then another little dot right there, like that. And then I put this on top of the gold snowflake. You could put the gold snowflake on top of your old olive snowflake, but you could do however you like. Okay, here we go. But do whichever way you do, try to interlock the arms, okay? So, or I mean, you know, if this makes you happier, you could do like that, but I like it like that. So make your snowflake your way. You can do whatever you want. You know why? Because all snowflakes are different. There's not another one out there like this. Okay, this one is exactly the same as the one on my first one, but it's the only snowflake that works like that. Okay? Okay. Sarai. Okay. All right. So we're ready with our elements. And now I'm going to take some Stampin' Seal. Yes, I am going to use Stampin' Seal, but I use Stampin' Seal Plus. And I am going to use a little bit of the new Open Weave 3/8 inch trim. And I'm going to make a loop-de-doo bow, kind of like that. And it's going to go kind of like right there. So I can cut that. Get that out of my way. And it's going to be, kind of get it into kind of a bow shape like that. And it'll be right about there. So my seal is going to go like so. And I'll put that there. And then I can roll that down like that and get that all adherified. Okay. And we'll cut this end off. Go ahead and do that. Okay, there we go. Now it's just a matter of putting our snowflake on, and I'm going to put the snowflake on with a dimensional or two right there. Now, this is where I'm going to do a little bit of dry fitting, okay? And it's going to go basically right there. And the thing that I'm looking at is where my sentiment is going to go, okay? So I want my sentiment, it can absolutely extend past this flap, but it should not extend past here, or you're going to really have some real issues going on with your envelope. I'm just saying, okay? So let me get my dimensionals out here. And I'm going to put the dimensionals really close to the center of the snowflake like that, because I'm going to tuck these pine cones underneath, and I don't want to have to work around those dimensionals when I'm doing it. Hey, Joanna. Okay. So again, this is not hooked down, so I'm just recentering it. Once I get this on and put my sentiment on, this got a little bit crookedy, didn't it? That's fine. It'll be okay. You know what I'm going to do? Because I don't like how that one is. Watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick this up. And that one is right. So I'm going to hide that one under the sentiment. See how I did that? I just turned it just like that. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and put our sentiment on. And once we have that guy on, we can pick it up off of there. It'll be easier to put our pine cones on once that gets done. Now this is going to take double, because this is already on dimensionals and it was on that ribbon. So it's a little bit taller. Okay, like that. Take these lids off. And then, before you put your sentiment on, get everything straight. Line this up where he's going to go. And then you can put him on. And be sure he doesn't extend past the end of the card base. But also making him straight. Straight is good, don't you think? I like straight. Straight works for me almost all the time. Okay, now I'm going to pick this up because it's kind of hard. It's just a pain. It's not hard. Hard is overblown. But it's a little harder to deal with it when it's trying to pop up. So I'm just going to take a little bit of liquid glue and I'm going to slide this guy in here like so. Stay down. Stay down. Out, darn spot. Out. Nope. It's wrong. Wrong. And we'll slide this under here like so. Oh, I love these pine cones. These pine cones are also really good with like either gold or that new brown earthen toned metallic as the detailed die cut. Really pretty. Okay. And then this guy will slide right there. And there you go. Okay, I can see that dimensional right there. No, I can't. What are you seeing? Nope, not seeing anything. Okay, so now we're going to adhere this to the card front, and then we'll add another sequin or 2 or 3, and we'll be done with the card. So to do this, I just kind of eyeball where it's at. And here's a little tip. You can see that I have it lined up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use my grid paper. So this dark grid line right here is the edge of this panel. And what does that tell me? Don't put any liquid glue past there. Okay? Just like that. And then you can just put this back on and you can squish it around, get it straight, give it a little push. And there you have it. Okay? So we'll put a few more of those red sequins, higher math and Shakespeare. I know. It's like the sciences and the arts come together in one place. I know. Just another service I offer. All right, and we'll put a few of these. You could use the gold ones. I mean, those would be really pretty. Look how pretty these would be on here. Should I use the gold ones maybe instead? What do you guys think? I'll wait a second. Gold or red on this one? This is what the red looks like. What do you think? Should I go gold? Like that? What you think? Gold or red? Gold or red? I'm going to take a drink because my throat's really dry while you answer. We're all in for red. Okay. Oh, we have a gold. We have a red. We have a red. Next vote. Oh, okay, it's red. It's red. Let me put this back. If you like gold, try the gold. If you like the red, do the red, baby. Do the red, baby. Do the red, baby. See, did I use a giant one up there? No, I don't think so. I used a middle one. See, you get 3 sizes, large, medium, and small. And I've used the medium and the small here. All right, and then I put one in here already. So that, as they say in the industry, is our card. Now, let's do our envelope. And what I've used is the beautiful, and I do mean beautiful, this is a great pine bough image from Delicate Pines. I love it. And I'm going to just stamp that on the front of my envelope in Mossy Meadow ink, like so. Isn't that pretty? Pretty. And then what I did is I took another piece of the two-tone pecan pie cardstock and I embossed it already, and that is going to be my envelope flap after I put a little bit of this there, this here on that there. There we go. All right. And then we'll put this on here. I know the leaves are beautiful on this. This is just a beautiful set. The Delicate Pines is beautiful. This Joyful Days card pack is beautiful. It's just it's a great set all the way around. I mean, they're not a set, but they work together like they're a set. Okay. And what's nice about the two-tone cardstock is it's lighter than our regular cardstock. It's a bit heavier than DSP, so it's kind of a nice compromise, which means for me, it's a really good thing to put on an envelope flap. And it embosses so prettily, and adding a little bit of sanding on it really adds a lot of interest to it. So it's pretty darn good. All right, guys, so there you have it. 2 Christmas cards. And truly, these are not very difficult. You know, you might not want to make 30 of them, but making 3 or 4 or 5 for the really special folks on your list would not be difficult at all. All right, so I hope you'll consider it. Definitely consider the Joyful Days Memories and More card pack. I think you'll get a lot of use out of it. And of course, the Delicate Pines bundle is wonderful. So I know you can't wait till the 3rd of September. I am excited to see what you buy. And I hope you'll come back on Saturday. I don't know what we're going to make, but it'll be 7 o'clock Eastern time. And I'll be back for something that I hope you will like. All right, y'all take good care. Have a great rest of your week. Ta.